Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Nxavo and this is Up Close with me, where we get to sit down and get very personal. We get very personal in this channel, and the reason why we get very personal is because I want to talk about life based on my experiences with the aim of personal development. So it is my prayer and my hope that every single video in this channel that I get to sit down and make brings about some form of personal development to my life, and also hopefully to your life as the audience. So if you're new here, I welcome you. Thank you so much for joining me. To my returning subscribers, thank you so much for joining me once again, guys. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you taking this journey with me. I'm gonna be forever grateful for everything that you guys do. I don't take one view for granted, because that's your time, that's your data, that's the time that you could be doing something else, but you're watching my video. So thank you so much for being here. I am really grateful that you made it up to this video. So for those that are new, I'm just gonna give a little background in terms of who I am, and so that you can catch up on this journey that we're in, because it didn't start now. So my name is Nxavo and I'm 27 years old. I'm turning 27 this year. I'm married to a man in the military, and we have 3 children together. And now this part of the videos in the channel is focusing on my marriage, how my marriage has been. We're just exploring that part of life, looking at the fact that I'm young and I'm in a military marriage, which a lot of people are very curious about, as to what happens, how do we make it work, because it's very common knowledge that soldiers are never at home, things like that. I'm running out of breath, I don't know why, but anyway, before wasting any more time, let's get right into today's video. So if you've been following, in one of my military marriage videos, I did mention that I was going to talk about orgasms, like having an orgasm when you have sex, right? I believe the people watching this channel, adults. If they're not, they are children. I mean, I do want children to watch, but some things I'm going to assume that we all know, because these are things that are not foreign to us. Another reason why I decided to start this channel is the fact that I want to have conversations that are not being had, that people are not having. Do you understand? So I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. If you have a child who's watching and you believe they shouldn't be listening to such content, please confiscate. I think that's the word. Yes. Take the phone away or do something or whatever, but if you feel like it's not age friendly in terms of who's watching, please do be in control. But in this channel, I'm going to talk about so many issues that affect us daily, but people are not really comfortable talking about, right? So yeah, I did say I was going to speak on orgasms. My aim was to speak about it sexually, but I came up with a different approach, which is something that I have spoken about earlier when the channel was just from starting. If you haven't watched that video, please go watch it. I spoke about my sexual abuse. So I'm going to speak about orgasms in terms of how my sexual abuse affected me in this marriage, right? Because we are still on the marriage series, so this is, I think, the 3rd video on the series. So I'm gonna speak about that because it's very important. It played a very important role into our lives. It played a very important role, and it brought up so much work that needed to be done, so much personal work that needed to be done in order for marriage to be what it is today. So a backstory, growing up, I was molested very badly, so I believe. I mean, of course, I do know that I'm not the only one, and I also do know that our experiences mean different things to us. So my experience altogether, it was very I feel like it was bad. As much as when I was going through it, it was not that bad, right? But when now I had to deal with the consequences, with the after effects that it left in me and on me, it was so much work. It was too much work. It had really affected me terribly. It was bad. Like, when I say it was bad, I mean it was terrible. So you guys will let me know if you want me to go into details in terms of how the molestation happened. But just a little backstory, like I said, I was molested by 3 different men, and this molestation took, like, it went for a very long period of time, and I think that's why the after effects were also very permanent. They were very deep. And as a child, I was not aware, which I believe it's actually something that's happening now. Like, people are going through situations, we are going through situations as people that we are not aware how much they are affecting us. You know, think for example, a woman who's in an abusive relationship. That woman does not know or acknowledge the effects the abuse is having on them. They will only be able to actually realize afterwards. Most of the times that is the case. You are only able to notice and realize the impacts that the abuse had. So that is what happened with me. As the molestation was happening, I was there like, okay, whatever. I was a child. I didn't know what was happening. This man would touch me, and to tell you the truth, which is another issue that obviously we must speak about, I was never told not to tell anyone. But it was one of those things that somehow you knew you were not supposed to talk about it, you know? And I think that came from the fact that no one was really speaking about sex or anything like that. I mean, we grew up and we were even so scared to mention the word vagina. That is the environment that I grew up in. You couldn't call a vagina with its name. You were supposed to use words that are not vulgar, that are not derogatory. Yes, I think that's the word. Oh my goodness, I'm so mixed up. This topic, it raises emotions, but I'm doing my best not to fall into it, right? So yeah, that is what happened with me. I didn't tell anyone when it was happening. I just thought it was supposed to be like that because it was new and it was not something I was familiar with. It was not something I had seen before. I just knew that these men, they touch me, they pleasure themselves with my body. It seemed like they were having a good time. As much as I didn't know what was happening and I couldn't explain it, it looked like they were feeling good. And I thought, that's nice. It made me feel good about myself, that at least someone is getting to feel good about themselves through me, you know? So that is just a little backstory. It went on for a long time. I can't even pinpoint the years because it's just so many incidents. It had become like an everyday life. You knew that if you were to go into that house, this is gonna happen. If this man was to come into your home, this was gonna happen. It didn't even scare me anymore. But I'm gonna tell you how it affected me when I got into marriage. Like how I realized that that experience actually left some after effects in my mind, in my body, and that type of thing. And you know what the funny part is? The funny part is that I've been in relationships. I had been in relationships, but none of those relationships actually made me learn about the fact that there was some sexual stuff that I needed to deal with. And I really can't explain it until now. Like, it's something that when I look back, I want to think that what was missing? Why didn't I see the need to heal then when I was in that relationship or that relationship? Why did it only come up now? So, but I believe maybe it probably came with commitment. It probably came with the person that I'm in love with. It probably came with the fact that I wanted to be better for this person that I'm in love with. I wanted to do better. And also the fact that he was highlighting what was wrong. He made it aware that this is not supposed to be like this. This is not supposed to be like this. Which is why I believe at the time, I had gotten used to going with the flow. Like, you know, when whatever comes in life, you just take it as it comes. You're not intentional in terms of anything that you do, that, okay, today I want to heal, today I want to feel better. There was no such a thing. We were just going with the flow. So when he came into my life, he would highlight these things. And one day I decided, you know what, I don't want to be this person that he's always complaining about. Let me see what I can do about these things. So to sum up the whole story, I had to change for my husband. But in order for me to change, I had to first realize what the problems were, what were the roots of my problems, what was going on, you know. So the first thing that I realized was the fact that I never really got to learn my body, right? I never really got to take ownership of my body, because when I started being clear about what's happening in life, when I started being a bit matured, already there were people who were claiming parts of my body. There were people who possessed ownership in some parts of my body. So I never really got to experience the importance, or just to acknowledge and embrace that, okay, this is who I am, this is what I look like, this is what I am. It was very confusing for me, but because we were going with the flow, it was never really something that I would sit down and think about. I was just like, oh, okay, whatever. So I never really got time to bond with my body. I never really took ownership of my body. So I never learned anything about my body in terms of what makes me feel good, what makes me feel scared, or anything like that. So that is the first thing. The second thing would be, please forgive me if I mix them up, because I didn't really write them down, but I'm trying to make the story come together, right? If that makes sense. But yeah, so the second thing would be that in terms of being violated in that way, as much as at that time I didn't know they were violating me, but something in me, before we got to a point where I had made peace with the fact that maybe this must happen, I understood that somehow this is wrong. There is a part of you, if you know someone who has been molested, or have been raped, or they've experienced some form of sexual abuse when they were a child, they will tell you that somehow it felt wrong, but also at the same time, you couldn't speak about it because you couldn't figure out what is wrong with it, because you don't know anything about such things. No one is talking about such things. Like, the information is not out there. You are not empowered. You're not enlightened. So you don't know what's going on, but you have an idea that this feels wrong. Do you understand? So in me being violated, we got through that point where I knew that this is very wrong. This feels very wrong. I don't think this is supposed to be happening. But I didn't know what I was supposed to do with it. So in feeling it to be very wrong, I learned to get my body to shut down, right? Which is something I can do even now. Which, let me tell you a fun fact. I know rape is very traumatizing, right? But because of the skills that I have gathered throughout life and throughout the experiences that I have sexually, I feel like I would rather have someone rape me instead of raping my kids, because I feel that I can deal better with it. I am able mentally to counter, what is the word? But to block whatever that is happening, to deassociate. Yes, I can do that. I'm able to do that. I'm able to detach from my body, which I feel like puts me in a very good position in terms of, if I could have my kids raped and me, I'll choose me. Beside even having to protect my kids, I would choose me, because I feel like I would be able to deal better with it. So yeah, I learned to shut down my body. I learned the skill to get out of my body so that I don't experience what's happening and actually just watch from outside, which is something that I am grateful for even now, because I can choose what to experience and what not to experience, especially if it's happening from my body, to me. I can choose how to experience it as well, you know. So in learning to shut my body down, when I got married, my mind would not be able to differentiate that now you are married, you need to stop shutting your body down when you must have sex. Do you understand? So it was very difficult. That was very difficult. I guys, just a simple touch from this guy, it would set me off. Like, it would set me off. And this is something that even now I believe we are still dealing with. I need to prepare mentally that, Nxavo, you're gonna have sex, you know, and you better be present. Because on top of shutting my body down, I'm also an overthinker. I think a lot. So mentally, you know, I'm not used to being present in sexual situations. And then on top of that, I'm an overthinker. I'm just always thinking about other things. So that was very difficult. I couldn't get wet. I couldn't, like, I would just not be there, you know. I would not be present in that situation. And my husband would literally have sex alone. And it was not even feeling like rape. It was just that I didn't know how to bring myself into the situation, you know. So he would just be there, like, looking like, okay, what's happening? Because this is a two-way street, you know, we are supposed to be doing this together. And I would be out of it. Like, I'd be out there like, okay, whatever, just finish and get done, you know. So yeah, it was very heavy for my marriage. It was very heavy. It's something that we had to work on for such a long time. We had to learn. I had to learn to communicate with him. I had to learn to, okay, do it like this. At least let me know. At least don't just come, because when you sneak out, he's not sneaking up, but it feels like it when maybe I'm sleeping and then he comes from behind. Because remember, that is how these men used to do these things. Would be sleeping and then I would just feel a touch on my bum. So when he did that, it literally took me back to how those things used to be, and my body would, like, it really felt automatic. It would automatically just shut down. So we had to communicate through such things. Okay, Mama, don't sorry, there's a fly. Don't sneak up on me, you know. Let me know that, okay, I'm coming. Okay, I'd like to have sex. The work was too much. We are still working on it today, because, you know, trauma you don't just heal like out of the blue. It's a process. But I believe I'm in a better space now compared to where I was when we first met. So also to add on I realized I didn't speak on how not knowing my body affected me in marriage. Not knowing my body and being molested, you know, remember, the reason why those people molest you or me, the reason why I believe they molested me was to please themselves. So there was never a day or a time where someone said, you need to come because I'm gonna come, you know, like, you need to ejaculate so that I can also ejaculate, or let's ejaculate together. So I was very foreign to the idea of ejaculation. I didn't even know there was such a thing, because what I was used to was men coming and pleasing themselves with my body, and then that was it, you know. So I never really learned to orgasm. I would love to believe that as I was growing up, you guys know that I didn't live a perfect life. I don't want to come here and lie and say I started having sex after marriage. No, I have had sex encounters, which I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about STIs and stuff, because I have experienced those as well. But for now, I would love to believe that I have had orgasms somehow, but I didn't know that it was an orgasm, what was happening. I only learned about orgasms now when I'm married, because my husband educated me. So he he knew what it was. So when we started, he was worried that, okay, this lady, what's happening? Why are you different? What's going on with you? And then just like that, at first it was hard, like just like everything else. My sexual life was very hard to actually make it what it is now, because there was just too much trauma in that area of my life. So I didn't know that was supposed to happen, or how it was supposed to happen. But he brought it up, and from there, when he brought it to my attention, we started working on it. And yeah, we are here now. I'm so glad I spoke about this without getting emotional. This is good. This means, Nxavo, you have healed. So yeah, I believe I've covered the most important things. Sexually, my sex life in the marriage was very bad. I just am grateful that God gave me someone who was willing to work through it with me. But had it been someone who would have assumed that all women are the same, I feel like this guy would have ran away, like completely. He would have been like, you know what, I can't deal with this. That, the sex, on top of mental illnesses, on top of suicidal thoughts, on top of suicide attempts, I feel like he would have ran away, literally, like he would have been gone. But I feel God was very intentional when he brought us together, you know. That's why I speak openly about our marriage, because I feel that it came straight from God, because through this marriage I have healed so much. There is a video that I made on how my marriage saved me from my demons. This marriage really saved me from so many things. So I believe God was very intentional with it, and that's why I want to speak openly about it. As much as he's a military man and he's not around, there is so much that I'm getting from this marriage, guys. There is so much. I feel like there are some people who think, yo, Wena, you are so strong and you're so young to be going through this, but there is so much that I've gotten from this marriage that I'm willing to stick it through for this man. Do you understand? So yeah, if you're out there and you have been sexually assaulted, or you have been through a traumatic encounter, I just want to emphasize how important it is to heal, because these things actually affect us in the near future. I was not aware that they were going to affect me. I feel like I would have done my healing work earlier, but my need for healing actually arose after I got married. So if you have been through this and you feel that it's in the past, it's gone, chances are it's not, if you have not dealt with it, and one way or the other it's going to present itself in one way or the other. So I would like to emphasize the need for healing. Work on it. Make sure you are over it. Make sure some of the things that you do are not coming from, are not reactions from where you've been, from what you have went through, you know. So yeah, please heal, guys. Please heal yourselves. If you want to talk about this with me, I'm here. I think I have done the work. I have done the necessary work. It's a process. I'm not where I want to be yet, because I would like to be in a place where sex became natural for me. Like, I didn't have to prepare for it in order for me to get my body ready, because you know, we watch movies and we see people who just meet and then they just start having sex. I would want that. I would want that for myself, but it doesn't happen. I need to prepare mentally that this is going to happen for me to be able to be present when it actually happens, you know. So it is a process. It takes so much. It takes a lot. It will take nights of crying. I mean, yes, the healing looks different for everyone, but for me, it was a lot of work, but I'm grateful for where I am. So if you are there and you've been through this, please attend to it. Even if this doesn't only apply to sexual abuse, any traumatic event that you have been through and you believe that it's in the past, you have buried it, please trust me, one way or the other, the trauma will have to manifest itself. It would either be through your behavior or through your reaction to some things. Please, guys, attend to these things. These things are very important. I mean, it's not our fault that they happened, but it is our responsibility to make sure that they don't affect our lives going forward. You understand? So yeah, I feel like I've spoken so much in this video, but I will end it right here. Please do comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and switch on your notification bell so that you don't miss any of my next uploads. And until the next video, guys, I love you so much. Take care, and I'll see you then.